right. And we are going to be loading on in the second semifinals of the evening. A surprisingly short broadcast so far, but I might be speaking too soon. We do have another two best of fives ahead of us. And again, Trap and Cure, these two players, they go back and forth so much. And speaking of Trap and Cure going back and forth, here we are back on Eternal Empire, L-E-E-L-E, which does in fact stand for Elongated Expressions Live and Danger. Figure that one out. That could be like a little bit of a haiku there for all of you listening back home. In the bottom left-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, we do in fact have a red Protoss player. Gonna be coming down all the way from the land of Seoul, currently in the Jinner house, the only Jinner representative now that Creator has unfortunately been eliminated. He is one of the top Protoss players of 2020. He is the player with multiple, I believe 2 or potentially 3 ESL Open Cup Asia championships, representing Jinner Green Wings Jaguar. He is Trap.
Have you done the other one?
No.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Eternal Empire LE, we have the Korean Terran player representing Dragon Phoenix Gaming, the PG. It is Cure.
The clinical cowboy.
Clinical indeed, and yeah, this is a little bit refreshing. I don't believe we've had this matchup today.
We have not. We almost had a TBT, but we have had a TBZ, we've had a lot of PvP, and we've had Probe versus Rex earlier on, but yeah, no, Probe just decided to channel his inner turkey. They know that series, so.
Yeah, we did start off today with Rex versus Probe, and if you were here with us, Probe, he went Forge first every single game.
Each game's progressively shorter.
Yeah, I mean, he had different variants. I'll give him that. But in the end, Rex did come out on top, and yeah, I can't imagine we're going to see much of that here, as both players, pretty standard openers. Ooh, Trap going for a Stargate opener actually.
Alrighty then. Yeah, getting a lot more common in the PvT matchup.
Yeah, and it is important to note that it did get scouted by Cure's Reaper, so he is aware of what is coming his way. He doesn't know what the opener is, as long as he clicked on the Stargate when his Reaper was in there.
Which he should have, even with that Adept cause a little bit of trouble. I would hold Cure to a certain standard to be able to click on buildings and whatnot.
Yeah, definitely.
Cure actually going 2-on-1.
Oh.
In a TvP. Huh.
Yeah, interesting. Going, 2-1 for the moment.
Yeah, he hasn't gotten that Stargate port up yet. Might be looking to go 3cc before Starport, which, means that Cure is going to have a lot of, he's going to have a pretty big ground army presence. But in order to get a bit more of an economy, but the trade-off, obviously you don't have your starport, you don't have a lot of good utility units coming out of the way, but it is actually going to be a 2-on-1.
Yeah, he's going to be looking to push out with this pretty strong force, and the eventual medevacs will allow him to maybe even drop into the main base as well, but ooh, the Phoenixes do reveal themselves.
They do, and now that Cure's been able to confirm what it was, trying to get a couple more probes, gets literally a couple.
Yeah, so far.
Too bad.
Yeah, and some nice probe micro there by Trap.
Yeah. Now here's a question I have for you, Light. Do you think that Cure went for this 2-on-1? Or I guess he was already planning to go for 2-on-1, but do you think he went for the mines instead of going for tanks in response to seeing the Stargate and imagining that it's going to be Phoenixes?
Potentially, we'll see how these Woodmines do. I mean, defensively, they can do very well against Phoenixes, but they're fighting damage regardless, and there's actually there's no engineering bay, there's no missile charge. Oh, okay, there is, sorry. He is throwing them down, but they weren't quite ready.
Yeah, and they are continually going to be delayed as long as Trap can help it. Meanwhile, we see the Adepts now in the natural base. Again, going to be preventing this turret from coming up quick. Raising up the depots there. But already 7 SCVs going down. It's not too
and
bad.
Actually, none of the Adepts have gone down yet either. Only those 3 probes from the beginning have gone down. And now he commits the shade, trying to get some more SCVs. And he does get a couple more before losing those Adepts. And Trap doing a good job at this harassment so far.
Yeah, he's keeping the Terran army so far back. And normally that's what we say when the Protoss player opens up Blink Stalkers, right? But yeah, Trap really showing that he knows how aggressive Cure likes to be. He is showing that he really can keep Trap back as much as possible. And this is a pretty weak bioforce. The rest of the army has been split up.
He has to be careful, but with the reinforcements, like, this does beef up the army of Cure a little bit. With only gateway units here, like, he can trade. I'm curious. Yeah, and the Phoenixes aren't here either to help defend. Here we go. They're coming in.
No, but they're coming in. The mines are going to be borrowing up here. And Cure's going to be trying to fight here as much as he can. Without Drill and Claws, you have to be a lot more patient as a Terran player, trying to draw your opponent's army into you. But once the Protoss player realizes, yes, there are mines buried there, burrowed there, I should be more careful.
Yeah, and with that Cure, he does turn around, which I think is the right call. Like, for a moment there, he was rallying across the map, and I was like, "Well, calm down." Like, this is like, you don't really have much momentum going for you. So he does back off. He does regroup with his army, and may go for another push. Again, though, I'm sure, especially with his opener, he would want to have gone out and dealt some sort of damage, whether it's economic or what have you. And so far, Trap has done a really good job at just hindering Cure this game.
But Cure has been continuing to build up from that point. If you notice, once he realized that a fight was not... I don't want to say unfeasible, but, a fight was something that he could not win. He turned around to his army, kept them all alive, continued to produce behind that, and now he's getting ready for round 2 with a much beefier army.
Yeah, definitely, and there could be an opportunity here for him as the Phoenixes are currently across the map, so it will take them quite some time to actually get here to help support the army, but they are on their way, and yeah, Cure, he's struggling to find like an opportunity here.
Yeah, he's trying to bait this Protoss army, particularly the Zealots, into the Widow Mines. Cure, or Trap, trying to bait out these shots, but there's just way too much DPS here for units to be taken out. One mine shot does go in. And now it's a little bit on Cure to make sure that the rest don't. Decent connection there on that last shot, getting 2 Zealots, but yeah, not quite the damage that Cure was looking for. And once again, gonna have to back off and rethink his strategy.
I do love how much he's taking care of his army though. Like, as soon as those Widowmine shots went off and we're done and we're kind of almost wasted, he's like, all right, I'm just backing off. Like, I'm not gonna stay here. I'm not gonna commit to any like fight that's not gonna go my way. I'm just gonna pull back, save as much as I can. Even saved one of his Widowmines as well, and try and like go for that more favorable engagement. He didn't commit. He wasn't too stubborn with his push.
Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of Tasia back in the day. But I will say this for Cure, though, he is looking to poke and prod a lot more, really trying to see if he can end the game, and, he's really... I think Cure really believes that there's an opportunity for him to end the game. He's just trying to find that opening to go for that throat. But, yeah, again, as he said, he is not committing to any fight that he cannot win.
Yeah, he has to be careful. We do have the Protoss army engaging into this, and the Widowmines get picked up as well.
One mine is able to borrow, though, and that keeps the other mine alive, and things are starting to go decently favorably for Cure, but that other mine does get lifted up. He has to be so careful. 3 Archons can do a lot of splash damage, especially against Marines.
Yeah, definitely, even utilizing those Phoenixes to pick up some units here as well, and Cure, he is falling back to the safety of these Widowmines, and Trap, he doesn't commit.
No, he does not. And honestly, Cure, he's got a lot of anti-air. It's just Trap never giving Cure the opportunity. He's never exposing his Phoenixes. He is being so careful with them. He's saying, I know exactly what I can get away with, you know, what I can snipe, what I can pick up, but I am not losing a single Phoenix.
Yeah, and even trying to find an opportunity there to get the medivacs, but he has to be so careful with these Phoenixes. He hasn't lost any quite yet. And Cure, he's just continuing to apply pressure. He has more Marauders this time. He has a lot more Widow Mines, and is this going to be enough?
That is definitely the question. The Marauders do help out with the against the Archons a little bit more. You know, they're not as susceptible to splash. But even
already
still,
picking one off.
Yeah, is able to pick one of them off. Yeah, but these mines, man, they just have not really been able to really turn the tides of the battle as like the Terran player normally wants them to. Yeah,
Trap is being so careful, making sure he doesn't commit to any kind of engagement because he's aware of the amount of Widow Mines that are there. He has to be so careful with how he approaches this.
And now, with the Observer in place, he's picking up every single mine, and Cure has lost all of his momentum here. He is so far on the back foot, and all of his medevacs are starting to get picked away, because again, he made a lot of Marauders, not as many Marines. And now he's down to 2 medevacs already running low on energy. Trap has defended this time and time again, and now he is looking so good going into the mid game, getting his double Colossus out. Thermal Lance, gonna be a quarter of a ways done, and once that's finished, you know, it's hard for me to imagine Trap not just going across the map and at least taking out a base.
Yeah, we do have, again, these Phoenixes being quite annoying here, and as you pointed out, Trap, he's finally taking into that consistent AoE, getting those Colossus. As a response, though, Cure, he did just finish up that upgrade for his Ghost. He does have Ghosts already out on the map for those EMPs, so that'll definitely help, but again, like, Colossus do so well against bio-based armies. He does have to be so careful. He's starting that Viking count, though.
And the Ghost, he is starting to go that Viking count, which is really good to know, and I'm not sure if he... Okay, there was a scan, so I'm gonna assume that he saw some Colossi. But yeah, these Ghosts, you know, they can help a little bit against the Colossus, you know, marginally, but where they're really gonna shine is going up against these Archons, because Trap still has a pretty healthy count of them, and if these EMPs can land on a couple of these sentries and these results as well, it's not gonna take much for Cure to just target down the Colossus and start to assert himself.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see how the EMPs can land as, the army is getting kind of pushed away, and I don't know if Trap wants to actually push into this choke point.
He does not, and so he backs away. Pretty,
yeah, no, what's the alternative? This Widow Minefield, right? Like, I just love how defensively Cure is set up with these 4 bases. Trap he was trying to find an angle, didn't quite find one, does turn around and continuing to macro up. Actually, Trap is quite close to maxing out.
Indeed, he is. Both players are actually pretty close to maxing out. Yeah. And this does really go back to how we were saying, these 2 players have quite the rivalry behind them. They play similarly. Well, I wouldn't say they play similarly, but, you know, their play styles do kind of mesh against one another. I wouldn't say they complement each other, but yeah, they do clash against one another, and yeah, they are pretty evenly matched.
Yeah, so far, and we do have 3-3 on the way for Cure. More and more Vikings, 4 in production at a time as well, so he's looking to try and deal with those Colossus. But already Trap, we always talk about it, he is starting to diversify his AoE. We do have those Disruptors on the way as well to help support. I love how I went for Disruptors and not High Templar because of those Ghosts, so they will be able to help a little bit more there as well.
Yeah, you never want to rely on not getting EMP'd. Because a player like Trap, he will EMP your High Templar.
Yeah, definitely.
Alright, and yeah, once again, Trap trying to expand, Cure trying to deny those expansions as much as he can. Trap is actually double expanding though, so this is gonna be a little bit tougher for Cure.
Yeah, definitely, and behind this, like, Trap also going for these run-bys, trying to deny as much as he can, and behind this, we do have that Fleet Beacon being thrown down, double Stargates as well, so Sky Toss will be the eventual transition for Trap once he does lose some of that supply, as, again, both players are kind of close to maxing out, so it's a little bit difficult to transition at the moment, but it will be there eventually.
And this is why Cure just wants to keep Trap on this sort of army for as long as possible.
Yeah. Oh boy, there we go. 2, 3 carriers. And nukes as well. Oh boy.
I love it. Cure, of course, being the madman. There was that clip the other day that was Cure nuking Trap. Was brilliant to see.
Yeah. As I do recall, it was on. Was it on Death Aura? I can't quite remember.
Ice and Chrome.
Ice and Chrome. That's
I
it.
think he tried to on Death Aura, but didn't quite work out.
Yeah, and Trap. Like again, this is Eternal Empire, more macro favored map. We're basically ending up in this split map scenario. Both players have decent bases or decent base counts. They're both maxing out. Fusion Core on the way for Cure as well. They're both kind of getting their tech structures, getting their CCs, and yeah, it's kind of all going to come down to this big engagement that we're eventually going to see. Ooh.
Yeah, hopefully no. Yeah, hopefully there will be a couple more there where that came from. There is detection right now. In fact, Trap going for a double observer. Oh, is Cure going to nuke from the high ground? I've seen this happen. But no, he is just going to be looking to get this Artosis pylon.
Yeah, there we go. That the nukes are revealed that they are out on the map, and oh, is Trap going to be able to stop it? I don't think he is.
Are slow. They don't have speed.
Wow.
Yeah, and I mean, in the end of the day, it was just an Artosis pylon that got depowered.
Despite that, like the value you get, even though it was one pylon, it was powering so much. Like Jesus Christ.
Yeah, to be fair, actually, I think this delays Trap's upgrades for quite some time as well. So yeah, pretty good move coming up from Cure. Gonna be looking to do a couple more of those. One Ghost already goes down. And that is not what he wants to have happened.
Yeah, and I don't know if that was intentional, but Trap actually just killed a unit to start another carrier, so there we have it. Trap just trying to get that perfect army, just trying to refine his army, if you will, as we are getting into, again, this late game where we have ghosts all over the place. We're going to see nukes, we have Blink for Blink DTs on the way as well. Oh boy, but just,
Oh boy, we are going to be in for a bit of a longer one here, so strap yourselves on in, folks. But yeah, to go back to your point of how Trap is sort of diversifying his army, you know, trying to get as good of an army as he can. That does kind of go back to the idea of TvP as a game of counters, right? Where in theory, both players, you know, they can't get an army to counter each other. But if you diversify your armies, you can force your opponent to get a bit of a less efficient army, you know, a bit of a jack of all trades.
Yeah, definitely. I love the way that Cure's been utilizing these ghosts, like these nukes, like they've been able to find value, like whether it's depowering a bunch of structures or taking out a bunch of cannons here and there, like he is finding damage, or even denying another base as well. Again, like Cure, he needs to keep doing this, he needs to keep like finding these little avenues, keep chipping away at the ends of Trap. Meanwhile, Trap, I'm a little bit concerned because that carrier count, it's getting bigger and bigger, like in a head-on engagement, like it's gonna look kind of scary.
It very much so will, and just looking at Cure's army, what can deal with those carriers? 14 Vikings, which, not bad, but not the most reliable. 2 observers go down, and that's going to be helping Trap in the long run. Another nuke going down, but are these cannons in range? They are.
They are. And again, the carriers are revealed, trying to deal with the army in the center of the map. No Tempest quite yet, just pure carriers at the moment, no Mothership either. Yeah, we'll see. Like, Cure, he's been working on his Viking count this entire time. Like, he has a decent amount of Vikings. Like, oh god!
That was a juicy Purification Nova, taking out so much of the bio of Cure. Cure able to remax instantly, but yeah, that cost him quite a bit of ground. We do see the Vikings starting to come in, though. If they can start targeting down the carriers, that's definitely going to be a pretty big help. But a lot of the ghosts are starting to get taken out. Those EMPs,
yeah,
those are another, you know, carriers are another one of those units that you really want to EMP. But we do see a massive drop into the natural base of Trap. Personally, not too convinced it's going to be enough here, though, Light.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to deal plenty of damage, which is good.
Another sick Nova, and that should just about be it.
What's going to deal with the carriers? That's the problem, right? Like, they just got into the main base. Oh, the Vikings are being zoned out by the Stalkers as well.
and you say owie, but they are continuing to get the reinforcing carriers here and there. But once all the infrastructure goes, what does Cure really have left?
Exactly, the carriers have just laid waste to the production of Cure. That main base is continuing to wreak havoc here in the natural as well. And how is this going to get dealt with? Ooh, we have a nuke. Nukes could deal with this, but the ghost gets targeted down.
Indeed, it does. Range libs, maybe. Or just libs.
Yeah, Cure, he's trying to hold on. Like, again, he has a decent supply. He has those Vikings. The Vikings are trying to find a way in, and it looks like they will, and he's going to try and focus down the carriers.
And he is succeeding there, but that's really Lisa's concerns right now. Once you take out the carriers, there's still the ground army to deal with, and without smart silvers, it's going to take a while to land. GG's call. Trap takes game number 1 in pretty decisive fashion.
Yeah, GG, and like, again, you even brought it up, right? Like, what is there to deal with this Skytoss army that we've been building up for this entire game? Like, Trap, he was refining and getting the perfect Protoss army. Meanwhile, Cure, like, he was harassing really well. Like, that's great, but like, what was his answer to those carriers, right? Like, he had a good Viking count, and we saw it come into play at the end. Like, he got to snipe a couple of those carriers, but
I almost want to say BCs, honestly, like, you know, teleport on top of the carriers, Yamato as many as you can, but I think they are more common, they are more commonly used against Tempest.
Yeah, like, it's hard to say. Again, I think it's a game where you have to, like, try and, again, like, perk in here and there and snipe a carrier here and there and be active out on the map. Like, it was just this unfortunate position where the carriers went into the main base and the Vikings were nowhere to be found. Like, they were completely out of position to deal with them, and because of that, they just weren't a part of the fights until the very end.
Really was not. Yeah, I mean, even if, yeah, I'm just trying to think, maybe even if, like, you know, if the Vikings land and whatnot, but yeah, I mean, even if they did, I think the damage was already done. And so good damage already being done. Here we are on Pillars of Gold, which holds up the Golden Wall, protecting the Eternal Empire, where the LE submarines are kept, of which we all reside. We are in the top right-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way into the top right-hand corner. We have the red Protoss coming out all the way from the land of Soul. He is the wing commander himself. He is doing this all for his boy. I see you there in the chat, Gemini. Trap is doing this all for you. He is representing Jinner Greenwings Jaguar. We have Trap.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Pillars of Gold LE, we have the Korean Terran player representing Dragon Phoenix Gaming DPG. It is Cure.
The cowboy.
The cowboy. And yeah, we'll see how this plays out again. We mentioned it in the PvP on Eternal Empire, where Eternal Empire is a unique map and it does kind of favor these late game scenarios. There may be people like looking at that and being like, whoa, like Kira just couldn't deal with what Trap was dishing out. And, you know, on a map like Eternal Empire, that may, you know, come into play. But on these other maps, like, I can't imagine we're going to have a game quite like game number 1.
Yeah, Pillars of Gold is kind of the opposite of Eternal Empire in a couple of ways. But I suppose there are still scenarios where you know you can go split map. It's just, you know, it's a lot harder to defend those bases the further away they are from an army compared to Eternal Empire.
Like these maps, like the bases are a lot closer. Like it's, you know, the rush distance is shorter. It's a lot more difficult to maintain some of these 4th or 5th bases. So yeah, we'll see if Trap is gonna have the breathing room to get up into that Skytoss army again, or if Cure again, like we were talking about it on Eternal Empire, he kept applying all this pressure, and Trap just had enough, you know, and just had enough to deal with all those Widowmine and bio pushes. But on one of these smaller maps, like it could favor Cure a little bit more.
Definitely can, and honestly, Light, in those scenarios where you're going up against Phoenixes, I don't think tanks are a bad idea. Because it gives the, you know, it gives the Phoenixes something to focus on, and even if they, you know, if they don't pick up those tanks, then you've got some free damage going on against the Stalkers and handful of Zealots that you'll have that early in the game. And if they do pick it up, then that's fine. It distracts the Phoenixes. You can easily target them down with some bio. Or I guess I should say easily, but yeah, you know. It's something that you can do. So yeah, I wonder if Trap will do it again, because I kind of feel like the main flaw in Cure's pressure last game was just the fact that he was relying on Trap's army to move into his Widow Mines, whereas Trap just never took the bait. Whereas with tanks, you do still want your opponents to go into you, but you know, just because of the sheer range, they're almost always going to be within range.
Yeah, Trap was having none of it, and we already see a bit of a divergence here in the builds. Trap going for that double Oracle opener, meanwhile Cure going for that 1-1-1 into Banshee, or Cloak Banshee I should say. So really cool to see. And oh, Cure, he's already here in the natural.
He is. He's looking to bypass this and try to go into the main, but Trap does not allow that. Very nicely done, even keeping these probes alive in natural base.
Yeah, that was amazing to see. Cure, he was trying to pull Trap apart, like going into the main base, splitting up his army to go into the natural as well to get a bunch of workers, and Trap just perfectly pulled his workers back. He was able to split his army and dealt with that beautifully, and only lost 3 probes.
He did. That was a pretty good defense, but how's it going to hold up against these Banshees? Well, already we have a Phoenix out here on top of the map.
Oh.
But there is a Cyclone.
Yeah, and I actually haven't seen that before. The Cyclone, I thought was going to take out the Phoenix, but the Phoenix just interrupted its lock-on with the lift-up and just flew away.
Like, I know how to deal with this.
Yeah, just have none of it. And meanwhile, the Banshee gets caught outside the main base as well. Outside the main base of Trap. The Banshee tried to go in, and it did get taken out by the revelation of the Oracles and the Phoenixes as well.
But Cure's still committed to this, and he's getting a good handful of Cyclones. He's getting Mag Fuel Accelerator. Are we going to see Battle Mech coming out of our blue Terran player?
Yeah, it looks like it, you know, especially with that Cyclone upgrade. He's committing to this Ferrari mech or battle mech style. And you don't see this too often against Protoss. You know, we have seen players like TY, like, you know, mess around with it and showcase it here and there. It isn't common, but, you know, it'd be interesting to see if Cure can pull it off.
I just remember Cure going battle mech once against Innovation and then deciding never to do it again.
Yeah. I mean, it's, I guess, a little bit more common in TvT, question mark. I guess most common against Zerg, but yeah, here we have it being showcased against Protoss. And again, so far, Cure hasn't really been able to deal much economic damage. You know, Trap already getting his 3rd base up and running. And yeah, like the Banshees are still trying to, you know, circle around and find something, but Trap, he's here. He's outside the natural.
Yeah, with a lot of Adepts coming in here. And these Cyclones are they're gonna do a lot of damage, but again, just the sheer firing rate of Glaive Adepts is gonna be a lot. Couple that with the Oracles and with the Phoenixes to lift, this is looking brutal.
Wow.
And I do not believe that Cure has really a good way to defend against this. You know, he had some plans that were going to be coming up later on, but Trap is just not giving him the time, and I just realized these Adepts are not glaived, but even still doing so much damage because they can take quite a number of shots from these Cyclones.
You were talking about Cure having plans, but Trap has plans of his own. As more Adepts come into the natural, more SCVs are going down. At the same time, we do have the Banshee dealing damage across the map, though, which is crucial at the moment. 15 probes went down. If this wasn't happening, then Cure would be just down and out.
He really much would be, but now he's just down, but not quite out.
Yeah, and some nice counter harassment done there by Cure. It was so crucial that he managed to get that done. But the Adepts, they're still here in the natural. They're still, you know, denying mining time. Oh my god.
17. But here comes the Mjolnir. That's what I like to see.
Jesus Christ.
And this is how Cure gets back in this game.
Yeah, even though Cure is down in workers, there were a lot of mules that we used there. So honestly, it was looking devastating for Cure. I thought we were going to see the last couple of seconds there in the game for him, but his Banshees were able to, you know, just keep him in the game, and we will see him progress. You know, he's just working on more of his production. He has his 3rd CC, which is so important. Like, he does have that for SCV production, so he should be catching up economically at least. But what about his army?
Yeah, that's going to be the question, isn't it? Well, he is investing into that army. He can't quite produce as much as he would perhaps like to, but he is starting to get his upgrades, you know, Drilling Claws and... Yeah, exactly. Drilling Claws and Blue Flame. But yeah, as you can see, he's mostly making Hellions and Mines. Now getting a couple of Cyclones out, but yeah, it does kind of come down to his gas count.
Yeah, like that's the hard thing, right? Like
these, less gas intensive units.
Yeah, that Mjolnir is great for minerals, but at the end of the day, especially when you're going mech, when you're going like Ferrari mech, like you need that gas. It's so important, and like we do see that being affected here with how Terran is being played. Oh, he blinks in.
Blinks right on in. He is not afraid of these Cyclones, and now even manages to lift 2 of them. The SCVs trying to come in, thought they were going to repair, but they are just here to buffer. And Trap just getting more and more damage as time goes on. And Cure, he was down. He's still not out, but he's bleeding.
He is bleeding heavily at the moment, as there's still no answer to these Stalkers. There are a couple more Cyclones, and there are no more Phoenixes to CC them, but he blinks on forward. Trap, he smells blood. More reinforcements of warping in as well, and oh my god, he just blinks on top of everything.
GG is called. Trap now a match point, and you mentioned at the start of the game, like, that you thought that we weren't going to get a game similar to Eternal Empire. Trap heard that and said, you know what? You're right.
Yeah, there we go. It's like Trap already with the 2-0 lead, and we'll see if Cure can pull a zest and bring it back to the ace match, or at least take a game, as at the moment, Trap is looking terrifying.
He very much so is. As a reminder, Stats is currently waiting in the finals, waiting for the winner of this series to finish up. So Cure really is our last hope right now to prevent a PvP finals. But Trap, he looks at that and he laughs.
Yeah, and I think what's important here, as I was gonna save it a little bit, but what's really important is that Gemini is here, and I think that's something that we've been missing, something that Trap has been missing for so many weeks, that he needs his boy here to cheer for him, to give him his energy, to raid, and have his viewers as well just support Trap in his endeavors. And so far it's working, right? He's up 2-0, he's looking really strong right now, but we are loading in to the direct opposite of Eternal Empire, the shortest map in the map pool.
That's got to be rough. But speaking of rough, we are now here on that shortest map in the map pool, that being the LE Submarine, of which we all reside in. It is an LE Submarine. We all live in the LE Submarine, like. And here in the bottom right-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, we have a red Protoss coming out all the way from the Jinner house. I believe in Chimlingdong, but you know, somewhere in Seoul, Korea. He is representing Jinner Greenwings Jaguar, the wing commander himself. Everybody get your TB lol. Trap is gonna win lol in ready in chat. We have Trap. That's the only copy pass of Trap I know. We gotta make one.
We do. I mean, we're known for it, so I'm sure we can make a pretty sick one. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Submarine LE, we have the Korean Terran. He is currently down 0-2 in this best of 5. Can he bring it back here on Submarine? He is representing Dragon Phoenix Gaming. It is Cure.
EPT.
PG. Oh god,
I
and
always want to have that.
yeah, I don't know if you saw it earlier for the previous map, but Gemini was commenting on how long your intro was. Oh, you don't even know. You didn't even know. Yeah, it was only like a minute long as well. It was nothing. It was nothing. For the new viewers in the chat who may not be familiar with the CranKy Ducklings, with Yakuzaku himself, he's kind of known for his long intros. We've been in a situation where we've had like a 4 or 5 minute long intro and then the game ended.
We have.
More than once, I think that's happened, but it's great.
Is it?
I think so. But yeah, welcome to the CranKy Ducklings.
You don't even know what you're in for.
You don't even know. And again, I'm curious to see what Cure does, as we're on the shortest rush distance map so far. That there was no proxy or anything crazy like that. I'm curious to see how their builds diverge, how they change on a map like this.
Well, for now, Cure is just playing it as safe as he pretty much can be, getting a bunker as well in his natural base. And I have to wonder, this is a factory producing a Hellion that has no add-ons on it. Are we gonna see that Banshee bunker push?
Yeah, we could see it so far. We have that 1-1-1 opener from Cure, and oh my god, so much lost mining time here. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it is quite a bit. But Trap is being gracious right now, will be shading on out. And allowing Cure his opportunity to mine.
Yeah, and ooh, behind this, I don't think we've seen this opener from Trap today, but he's going for Blink.
Yeah, funnily enough, we usually expect Blink from the Protoss player in the PPT, as it is, I would say, the most versatile opening. If you're trying to play more of a macro game, you can put on some pressure early on, or you can play it out more defensively, especially if your opponent's going into more air. But yeah, so far Trap has opened up Stargate both times, working out pretty well into his favor. And speaking of air, Cure also diverging a little bit from what we've seen in the previous games, going for this mine drop into a 3 racks.
Ooh, interesting. So Trap, he was denied that scout. He tried to shade into the main base of Cure and he didn't see any of it. Meanwhile, Cure, he did end up getting a scout off of Trap, and he saw that Twilight Council. He saw that it wasn't a Stargate opener. Despite that, he is still going for this Widow Mine drop. We'll see if the Stalkers are in position again. Trap doesn't know about this opener.
Not quite yet, yeah.
Ooh.
But he does suspect it. Blink has finished up, and that is going to be the key factor right now in Trap's defense. And Cure, he's just not going for it.
And he shouldn't. Like, if he boosted on in, like, that would be the end of that medevac, especially because of Blink. So, yeah,
I was just going to say, you can try to drop the mines and quickly burrow in, but that's a gamble.
Yeah, definitely, and we'll see if he decides to go for that at some point. As what's important is that right now it's alive, right? Like the opportunity is still there for Cure to dive in, and has to be a little bit careful. Does get spotted by the Stalker in the end.
Yeah, only one. So this medevac is still gonna be alive, which, as you were saying, is the real important part. Keeping the medevac here, I actually really like that as well. Because later on, you're gonna get into a situation where Trap, he's gonna have his attention split, right? And yeah, Cure can decide to go straight on for it. But before that happens, Cure is actually gonna be the one who has his attention split. Nice little blinks here with that Observer into the natural base, manages to blink out and saves everything. Nicely done, gets 4 SCVs. For almost nothing.
You were talking about how versatile the blink openers are and how they become pretty standard or very common, and this is part of it, right? Like, you can use Blink Stalkers to defend against Banshees or against Widow Mine drops, and at the same time you can also be offensive with them and blink into bases, blink up high ground, and deal some damage there as well.
It is not quite the catch-all build, but still. It covers a lot of bases.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And behind this trap, you know, he's taking his third base, he's macroing up. We didn't get to talk about it, but he is already working on those Colossus. Extended Thermal Lance is on the way as well, so already working on that AoE and establishing himself pretty nicely here on his side of the map. Meanwhile, Cure hasn't really been able to do anything too much in terms of harassment or engagements, but that's about to change.
He has built up his forces quite a lot. This is a pretty exposed Colossus. Thermal Lance is still a little ways off. Are we going to see Cure pounce on this? So far, pretty content to just take the pylons and try to snipe this third base. Thermal Lance is still not quite done yet. Cure is respecting this army a lot, though, and you cannot blame him for that. These are two Colossuses. And they seem pretty exposed, but the sentries have quite a bit of force fields behind them, so I'm liking Cure being a little bit more cautious here.
Yeah, definitely. Like, Cure respecting this army so much, and it looks like Trap was able to just buy enough time for those Stalkers to come and reinforce the main army and push Cure back. At the same time, though, we do have a double drop headed across the map as well, and Trap, like, his army is a little bit out of position. You know, we could see this do some decent damage.
Yeah, it's very out of position. But I feel like Cure has given Trap the time, and Trap is moving back into position. 3 Colossus is just about the sweet spot at this stage of the game in a PvT. They can absolutely shred almost everything if the Terran player isn't careful. And we still have this Widow Mine here, so...
Yeah, definitely.
He's going for it. He hurt me.
Oh no!
But Trap's so on top of everything, immediately blinks back to defend against that. Doesn't quite kill the medevac, but now, look at that. One more shot and the medevac is dead. Cure, he's got to be feeling at least a little bit annoyed.
Yeah, definitely. Like, luckily Cure was able to save that medevac. Like, it was so close to going down. Oh my god. But still keeping it alive again. At any moment it could dive in. But again, it's just like a sneeze away from just exploding in the middle of the air. So he has to be careful with that. Maybe even worth it to just try and send it home to repair. But yeah, it is still there. At any moment it could dive in, and behind this, Cure finally taking his third base. You know, he's got a decent worker count. He's macroing up. He's working on his upgrades. Yeah, so far neither player really engaging.
I gotta tell you, like, this is what separates a player like Cure from a player like me. Is that Cure remembers to set his SCVs to that third base to mine.
Yeah, and I love this as well. Like, you know, he spotted the army. He's already working on that Viking count for those Colossus. Ooh, even spots that Observer as well, able to snipe that and take that out. And yeah, like, Cure's army is pretty beefy. It's looking pretty strong. We'll see if he's gonna be able to utilize that.
Yeah, that is gonna be a story, isn't it? But you know, we're speaking about diversifying AoE. Trap already going into his storms, and that's gonna help a ton against these Vikings. And we're starting to get into that phase of the TvP where both players are just trying to counter what the other player has got. You know, Cure eventually is gonna get some ghosts out. Trap, I imagine, will want to get a handful of disruptors or something like that.
Yeah, like, he's already working on that storm as you were saying, and it's interesting that he decided to go for that this game, as in previous games he went for disruptors instead. Especially because we were mentioning how you can be a little bit more vulnerable, especially because of ghosts and EMPs. Like, they work just so much better against High Templar than they do against disruptors. Yeah,
but as Storm finishes up, Trap is looking to end this right now. He has the much higher army supply, and they're both even upgrades. But yeah, this is a lot of damage coming out from Trap's army, or damage potential, I should say. The Storm already coating some of these Vikings, taking out quite a number of them. And look at this multi-prong. Zealots wreaking havoc in all bases. Oh, trying to catch out a couple of these ghosts. Not quite able to get that. And now Cure bringing a whole lot of army to deal with this in the third base. Where's the rest of Trap's army? Actually backing away, and the medevac! It was so long! All it wanted to do was go home!
Since the beginning of the game it was out there, and it finally went out, and that could be a bit of like foreshadowing to this game as we have Trap going in. Ooh, nice EMPs though.
Yeah, it gets a lot of those High Templar, and these Vikings actually wreaking havoc, taking out a lot of these Colossus, and now Cure is the one with the ball in his court. He is looking to make use of this momentum.
Exactly, and that was such a nice engagement for Cure. He was able to take out some Colossus, even deal some nice damage to them as well, and now Cure is his turn to push out across the map and finally deal some damage. At the same time, the Zealot Harass just doesn't stop.
No, it does not, but nice positioning here, nice little bit of body blocking. Cure will be able to deal with that, and now this army, it's starting to move on in. There are still Templar here, and they do have a lot of energy banked up. The Vikings are starting to go down, but they have killed the Colossus, and what is left here, like, not a whole lot.
Yeah, they've already used... Yeah, they've already used their Novas, and the high-tech units are starting to fall, but at the same time, Cure's army has been shaved off as well.
Yeah, very much so, and you can sort of see what happens when the Protoss player is, able to hold on to their economic lead for this long. They are able to rebuild their army. They are able to, trade evenly, and then, force the Terran back and quickly regroup and have a stronger defense.
Yeah, and we do see Trap actually completely switching into nothing but Disruptors. No other High Templar, there's no Colossus either. Disruptors are all he's going for, and...
They have no counter.
They have no counter. He held onto his fourth base. At the same time, he's got Zealots in the third base of Cure. Just, oh my god, the Zealot Harass just continuing to just hinder Cure's economy and just really hurt it. And now the main armies are clashing as well to the south.
It's a massive ouch moment. It's Purification Nova, another massive ouch moment. Cure still has a pretty potent bioforce and does actually keep it alive. But again, as you were saying, while this was going on, they traded about even-ish, and meanwhile, Cure's worker supply, look at the difference right now.
Yeah, like Cure, he's engaging with his armies decently well, but these run-bys just keep dealing more and more damage, and like because of that, because they trade evenly with those main armies, like Cure, he's just hurting so much more and more. He's got almost half the worker count of Trap. And Trap, we see him expanding even further to the north-hand corner of the map. But Cure also taking his own fourth as well, and we could see this continue on. I mean, Trap, he's finally starting to rebuild his Colossuses as well.
Yeah, he realizes, oh yeah, no, you're not going to be able to make Vikings. Not after I've caused this much damage to your economy. Not after going this, not after investing this much into your bioforce. So why not?
Yeah,
and we spot ourselves as well.
Yeah, now he knows where the army is. EMP lands on some gateway army, and a decent one as well, but the Zealots, they just keep hitting the third.
Trap has no chill when it comes to these Zealot run-bys.
Oh my god. This time, Cure, he had an army here to defend this. Only a couple of units went down, a couple of SCVs went down, but at the same time, Trap, he's starting to push out here to the south.
Yeah, and I don't even want to call this the main army anymore, like, because of how many losses it sustained. The reinforcements are actually looking much bigger.
Yeah, they are, and I mean, to be fair, like, there is a planetary, defensively, like, Cure is looking to be at his best, but...
There's something in his spare bunker! Nice EMP, didn't land on, or didn't affect the orbital command at all. That's something that I do appreciate a lot as a Terran player.
It didn't, and here we have the main army of Trap in between all of these bases.
Oh, Cure's looking to surround!
Yeah, and there may be enough Vikings to take out the Colossus, but...
There may be, but there was just way too much firepower there for Trap in a clean sweep. And there you have it. Our watch has not ended just yet, Light. We are going to be going into our PvP finals here. Stats versus Trap. And can I just say how much of a monster Trap is looking in that game. But that was a PvT.
There we have it. And yeah, Trap with the 3-0 will advance on. Depending on how you look at it, unfortunately, Cure couldn't stop the inevitable, the PvP finals.
Gemini is so happy right now in chat. And he should be. It's not just that Trap was able to win that series. It's not just that Trap was able to make it to the finals. It was the fact that he just looked so dominant in the game. He really did make Cure look helpless. Trap is in form. And if he can play like that against stats, which I do... if I were to make a prediction, it'd be kind of hard because, again, this is a PvP matchup. It's a matchup that Stats has shown a bit more proficiency in the past than Trap. But honestly, if Trap can show a similar form that he's shown against Cure, he can absolutely take out Stats.
Yeah, definitely. And I know a lot of the viewers did come in, I think, mid-series of Stats versus Zest, but I do recommend watching the VODs for that. That was an insane best of 5. Went all the way to the ace match. Oh,
that was legitimately peak PvP.
Yeah, it really was some of the best Protoss players in the world. Some would argue that the top 2 Protoss players in the world. I think that's what we were saying. And Trap, he's gonna want to try and dispute that. He's gonna want to try and prove that, you know, even though Zest and Stats may have a couple more accolades, that he's also one of the best Protosses in Korea, and he's gonna have to prove that here against Stats.
He absolutely will.